Hello everyone, Ginger Squatch. As you can see behind me, different different background because I'm not at home, not in my recording area. I had to go to my ex-wife's house because she had a bit of an emergency with her vehicle. 2016 Chevy Malibu LS with the 1.5 turbo four-cylinder that has the auto stop-start feature, and it had an issue with this guy. Here we go. It's lined up. Now, finger, put it right there. You can actually see my finger through the drive area. Not supposed to. There's supposed to actually be stuff like this. The come on, line up. The shrapnel that drive has kind of just thrown everywhere. The intermediary drive that actually goes on, connects to the exhaust cam. I'm actually holding it together right now because it's two pieces. I was able to retrieve all of the shrapnel, thank goodness, out of the engine because it didn't actually send any small chunks everywhere, which is exceedingly lucky. But the biggest problem is that things like this shouldn't happen, and I can tell you why they're happening with these vehicles. There's actually a class action lawsuit about it. Here's my thoughts on this. Now, this is just going off of information that I know from vehicles. I mean, I've worked on vehicles for years on my own vehicles and actually helped friends and family and stuff like that with their vehicles. I've done engine rebuilds, I've done transmission rebuilds. I mean, I've done just about everything. Matter of fact, my 97 Honda Civic, I'm in the process of turbocharging it. When I wasn't sick, I actually was getting the parts to be able to build that. I want to go back to work because I'm going nuts, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I am having health issues. But fact of the matter is the reason why this happens is the oil inlet becomes clogged up, and it starves this of oil, and it causes it to pretty much just self-destruct. That can be avoided. Here's why it happens, in my opinion. And this is going from my knowledge of engines and other systems and how turbos work and things like that. Turbos are run off of the exhaust, which is extremely hot. That's a big point. Here's why. These vehicles are now having smaller engines with turbos, and then what they're doing is they're adding on top of that auto start stop. Come to a stoplight, the engine shuts off. Well, guess what? You've now stopped, one, the engine coolant, unless it's an electric water pump, which I'm going to check and make sure of whether or not it is, but I don't think that it is. But unless it's an electric water pump or it has a oil accumulator, which is kind of like a tube that has a piston on it inside of it that has air on one side and an inlet for the oil to come in on the other side, and when the engine's running, it pushes oil into it. When the engine shuts off and there's no oil pressure, it pushes the oil back into the engine. That might work. Or an electric oil pump, which would keep the oil circulating and not allow it to sit in the housing of the turbo that is, since it's actually attached to the exhaust, is exceedingly hot and cause the oil to literally cook. Well, it's actually called coking. It turns into this hard black carbon material that there are actually videos of people that have had turbo failures because of oil coking, where they've taken something and tried to push it out, and it's almost like hard carbon coming out. At which point, the biggest issue is when you have auto start stop turbo and no oil moving, you're going to allow that oil to just sit and cook. Once that happens, it doesn't matter how much you change your oil. You could change your oil every 1,000 miles. If you sit in a lot of traffic, you're going to cook your oil anyway. It's just simple physics. If the engine is getting hot and then stopping and the oil stops, where the oil's sitting, it's just going to fry. It's like putting vegetable oil in a pan and just turn the heat on. Starts to smoke, and then it turns black. Same thing happens to the engine oil. Now, engine oil does have to deal with other things like combustion gases that blow past the rings, but that's a different story. That's completely different. But the issue is when you have start-stop and a turbo, you're creating a perfect storm for issues like this to come up. And I'm willing to bet that when they were doing the testing with their CAD programs, they didn't account on the fact that the oil would begin to break down prematurely because of the start-stop system. And when that happens, it begins to turn into this hardened carbon material, which is come on. Yes, you can see it. It's right there. This engine, when she first bought the car, I forget, what was it? Under 30,000 miles, I believe. Maybe it was somewhere around 30,000 miles. But when she got the car, I had her go out and get a whole bunch of treatment chemicals to run through the engine, and literally in less than a month, the oil was changed 5 times. The reason being is that I know that with turbo engines, they love to cook the oil. It's just how it works, especially with start-stop. That's why the car is almost 90,000 miles, and it's just finally doing this. Whereas I've seen where people have had this happen less than 30,000 miles. So I really think that the class action lawsuit needs to look into the factor of, are these engines auto start stop. And I'm willing to bet yes, because that's how you cook your oil, and that's how you cook your engine. And that's a bad thing, because you don't have a vehicle, you can't get back and forth to work, and on top of that, she was leaving church, and she had a fellow church member and family friend in the vehicle, and our daughter. And when this pump failed, she had, with the exception of her standing on the brake pedal, she had no brakes. Because what this does is it generates a vacuum for the brake booster. Because it's a turbo, you don't have the vacuum system that you do in a traditional naturally aspirated engine. So, yeah, trying to come to a stop. When this thing self-destructs, it's going to be near impossible. If you're an inexperienced driver, you're not going to know to stand on that pedal. And the thing is another thing most people don't realize is that the arm for the brake is about that thick. It's about as thick as the width of my finger, and then it's about like that. So it's about the depth of it is about the length to my first knuckle, and then it's about as thick as my finger, and that goes up to your actuator rod for the master cylinder for the brakes. And on the back side of it, it has the brake booster, which is activated by, on most conventional small cars, it was activated by vacuum. It's just a big diaphragm that when you hit the brakes, it helps pull on it, so that way when you hit the brake, it pushes with you against the plunger in the brake master cylinder to increase the pressure. Now on bigger vehicles, they use a hydro pump, like a old school power steering system, in order to increase the pressure to help you. But that's usually on heavier stuff. Or sometimes they do electric systems, and then on like big rigs and stuff, they actually use a different system. They use their brakes actually use air, and if I remember correctly, the air is used to release the brake, not to apply it. It's actually a dead man system. When there's no air, the brakes engage. Safety. Kind of like a dead man switch. But nonetheless, I'm rambling. I digress. But fact of the matter is these things, they're cooking themselves, and I'm willing to put money on the fact that they're all stop-start and all turbo. So you guys have got to be careful. Luckily, I was able to get everything out. I've gone through and I've been able to get all of the pieces out of this, and that is exceedingly lucky. So yeah, hopefully I will be able to get this thing back up and running for her to be able to drive to work. But fact of the matter is stuff like this should not happen. I mean, for it to just literally disintegrate that gear, that drive assembly, and I can't. It stopped. Oh, now it stopped further back. But yeah, it's not going anywhere. It has stopped. It has literally just destroyed itself. And I plan to tear it apart, see how it has self-destructed. Actually, something right here. Oil feed gallery. That's from the backside of the screen inlet. So, yeah, I think that I am going to go ahead and pop that open and see what I find in there, because that should allow me to be able to see into how things were acting before it failed. But yeah, this should not be happening. Really, I think that what needs to happen is that these engines should not be, if they are turbocharged, they really should not have the start-stop feature, because it's just going to cook the oil, cause coking, and it just cause everything to just literally self-destruct. I mean, I hate stuff like this when it happens, because it becomes just such a headache. Like I said, luckily I was able to collect all of the pieces out of the engine. It literally fell into the head, and did not go down the oil return gallery that goes from the head down into the goes down through the block and returns to the oil pan. So didn't have to fish parts out of the oil pan, but it's going to need an oil change. That much is for certain, because I'm not sure if any small particulates may have made it down. Although I did do a preliminary attempt to put all of this back together, and it seems that everything is here. So yeah, this is ridiculous. There's no reason why stuff like this should be happening. I mean, the vehicles these days, you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for them. I mean, these cars are what, uh, $30,000-$40,000 when they're new. That's the lower end ones. And then you start getting into vehicles that are $100,000 easily, and it's just, for that price, there is no excuse for premature component failure. This should not be happening ever. I mean, I don't know what these engineers are doing. Actually, I'm willing to bet that it's the upper management pushing them to get them out as quickly as possible, and they're not doing proper testing anymore. In order to do proper testing, you have to have something like engine stands and and run the engines and things like that. The problem with that is that's space, and space means money. Money means it's less money that the upper management gets to have for their bonuses and their multi-million-dollar paychecks. So, yeah, just my 2 cents on it. And actually, oh, come on, it's almost. Let's see, do you go there? Yep, that goes there. This goes here. And that goes there. Actually, while I've been sitting here going on my rant about all of that, there we go. I was actually able to put all of the pieces back together, and I have everything. And this is just 2 pieces that I can actually hold back together like that. So, and there are actually a couple of little small slivers that I have here, which I see where they go. So, yeah. I'm quite certain that I've been able to collect all of the shrapnel out of this, and should be able to save the engine. But in order to do that, I had to pull the fuel rail, valve cover, the turbo coolant line, a bunch of other stuff off, so that way I could get everything out. So let's see if we got lucky on this. But I'm going to go ahead and get off of here because I'm rather tired. It's 3:40 in the morning. Yeah. And then on top of that, I couldn't get working on it when I got here because it was thunderstorming rather badly. So, phew. I need to clean my screen. But yeah, it was thunderstorming pretty bad, and I'm not going to go out and play with lightning with a ratchet in my hand, or a big screwdriver, or a pry bar, or anything like that. I don't want to become a human lightning rod. Might be funny to watch, but I don't think it's going to feel too good. But anyway, wish me luck, guys. I will be posting a follow-up video to this. So, yeah. And actually, if you guys want to see me create a second channel, as opposed to my general gaming channel, let me know. So, if you liked it, hit that thumbs up. I'm sorry I rambled a bit, but hopefully there was some information that helped you. I mean, it's just, you can't have all of this stuff jammed together and expect things to last. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Either way, leave me a comment. Let me know if you guys actually want to see me do another channel just focused more on science and technology and just the like automotive stuff and things of that nature. But yeah, nonetheless, if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you guys later because I am going to get cleaned up and I'm going to crash out because I am dead tired. Bye, guys.